My mom stood up at my graduation party and said, "Since I paid for your education, you owe me half your salary forever." I laughed until she handed me a contract. My dad's lawyer smiled and said, "Actually, that's not how this works." I'll never forget the way the whole room went silent. My graduation party was supposed to be a celebration, but instead, it turned into the most insane moment of my life. I had just finished thanking everyone for coming, still riding the high of finally being done with college, when my mom, standing in the middle of the living room, wine glass in hand, cleared her throat and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Since I paid for your education, you owe me half your salary forever." At first, I thought she was joking. I actually laughed at a real, full-body laugh, because how ridiculous is that? Who just stands up at their kid's graduation party and says something like that? But my mom wasn't laughing. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folder, and handed it to me like she was some kind of debt collector. "You can laugh all you want," she said, her voice sweet but firm, "but I had this drawn up a while ago. It's legally binding." I opened the folder, still thinking there was no way this was real. Inside, I saw a detailed breakdown of every tuition payment, housing, textbooks, gas money, even the food I ate while home for the holidays. Some guests shifted uncomfortably. I couldn't believe it. Who does this to their own kid? Before I could even process how absolutely insane this was, my dad, who had been standing off to the side the whole time, arms crossed, not saying a word, motioned to his lawyer. And that's when everything changed. The room was so quiet I could hear the ice clinking in someone's drink. I looked down at the contract again, flipping through the pages. And then, on the last page, there was a clause that made my stomach turn. If I refused to sign, my mother reserved the right to take legal action against me for failure to reimburse a personal loan. I swallowed hard. A personal loan? She had never, not once, said any of this money was a loan. I had asked multiple times before committing to college if she was okay covering the costs, and every time she had smiled and said, "It's an investment in your future." Now here she was, handing me a contract in front of everyone at my own graduation party, acting like this was just another normal conversation. I let out a slow breath. "Mom," I said, my voice calm but firm, "you never told me this was a loan." She tilted her head, feigning surprise. "Oh, sweetie, of course it was. You didn't think I was just giving you that money, did you?" She laughed lightly, looking around as if expecting the guests to agree with her. "You're my child, but you're also an adult now. And adults pay their debts." I stared at her, my heart pounding. Then, from the corner of the room, my dad finally spoke. "Well, actually," he said, motioning toward the man standing next to him, "that's not how this works." All heads turned toward him. His lawyer, a sharp-dressed man with graying hair, stepped forward, adjusting his glasses as he held out a folder of his own. "Miss Carter," the lawyer said, addressing my mom formally, "we were made aware of your contract a few weeks ago, and after reviewing the details, I'd like to clarify a few things for your son before he makes any decisions." I looked at my dad, confused. My mom, however, was suddenly very still. The lawyer opened his folder. "First, you cannot legally demand payment without a signed agreement in place, before tuition was paid. Since there is no pre-existing contract and no signed promissory note,